Most gardeners spend an entire season growing tomatoes and squash and walk away with maybe enough to cover their seed costs. Meanwhile, some flowers can pull in more money from a single 4-foot bed than a gardener makes from an entire row of vegetables. And most people growing those flowers right now, they stumbled onto it by accident. We are talking about real money, not someday money, not massive farm money. Money a home gardener can make from a backyard, a container setup, or a few raised beds. 10 flowers that buyers seek out, pay premium prices for, and come back week after week. We are counting down from number 10 to number 1, saving the highest earner for last. And I promise you, by the time we get there, at least 3 of these are going to make you rethink everything you have been planting. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to Golden Vault Garden. Let's get into it. Flower 10, Rudbeckia, Black-Eyed Susan. Most people think Black-Eyed Susans are just a wildflower you see on the side of the highway. And that is exactly why they underestimate how profitable this plant really is. Here is what makes Rudbeckia dangerous in the best possible way. It blooms from midsummer all the way into frost. Not weeks, months. And while most of your other flowers are winding down in the summer heat, Rudbeckia is just hitting its stride. The variety matters more than most people realize. Standard yellow works. But the darker varieties, the ones with burnt orange centers, deep gold petals, even near brown heads, those stop people in their tracks. A bouquet built around mixed Rudbeckia varieties looks like something that costs twice what you charge for it. Here is the money side. Rudbeckia is perennial in most zones, which means you plant it once and it comes back every year. Denser than the year before. No replanting cost, no repeat seed investment. Just more blooms, more stems, more sales. Growing difficulty is low. It handles drought, it handles neglect, and it does not require staking or babying. Harvest is fast, a clean cut, and it is done. And because it dries exceptionally well, any stems that do not sell fresh become dried arrangements for fall and winter sales. Most gardeners walk past Rudbeckia without giving it a second thought. That is their loss. Number 9 surprised even experienced growers the first time they saw what it earned. Flower 9, Gomphrena. Gomphrena looks like nothing else in a bouquet. Small, round, almost papery, people reach out and touch it before they buy it because they are not entirely sure what it is. At one farm market, a customer actually asked if the red ones were tiny strawberries. That curiosity is a selling advantage. When something makes a buyer stop and say, "Wait, what is that?" you have already won half the sale. Here is what makes Gomphrena a serious earner. It produces stems in extraordinary numbers. A 20-foot row can give you hundreds and hundreds of stems across a season. And those stems sell 2 ways. Fresh, as filler and accent pieces in bouquets, and dried as year-round decoration for wreaths and fall arrangements. The dried flower market is almost completely separate from the fresh-cut flower market. That means Gomphrena gives you 2 revenue streams from one plant. Any stem that does not sell fresh goes straight into your dried inventory. 0 waste. It comes in white, magenta, pink, coral, and purple. White sells with everything. Magenta commands attention. And the seed cost is almost nothing. You can plant an entire bed of Gomphrena for a few dollars and harvest from it all summer long. Growing difficulty, easy. Direct seed, water it in, and largely leave it alone. This is a workhorse plant that earns while you work on everything else. If you are looking for the highest reward-to-effort ratio on this list, Gomphrena is a serious contender. Number 8 is one most gardeners have grown, but almost none of them are selling. That changes today. Flower 8, Amaranth. Amaranth is one of the oldest cultivated plants on the planet. Ancient civilizations used it for food, for medicine, and for ceremony. Right now, a new generation is realizing it is also one of the most profitable things you can grow in a backyard cutting garden. The trailing plumes, some reaching 2 to 3 feet long in deep burgundy, chartreuse, even gold, are the kind of thing buyers will cross an entire market to get a closer look at. You do not need to explain what amaranth is. The plant sells itself the moment someone sees it. From a profitability standpoint, amaranth is almost unfair. The seed is cheap. It directs seeds easily and thrives on neglect. One grower overplanted a bed by accident, never thinned it, and said it was the best amaranth she had ever harvested. It grows fast, it cuts fast, strip the leaves, and you are done in seconds. What makes amaranth especially valuable is that it functions as the backbone of a bouquet. Drop a plume of trailing amaranth into an arrangement, and everything else instantly looks more dramatic. Buyers instinctively reach for arrangements that include it because the visual weight is so different from anything else available. And like Gomphrena, amaranth dries beautifully. Hold stems upside down for a few days, and you have a product that sells through the winter months in wreaths, dried arrangements, and holiday displays. 0 stems go to waste, 1 plant, 2 seasons of sales, almost no growing cost. That is why amaranth is on this list. Number 7 has an emotional hold over buyers that almost no other flower on this list can match. And that emotional connection is exactly why it sells out every single time. Flower 7, Gladiolus. Here is something that happens almost every time Gladiolus hits a market stall. A buyer walks up, sees them, and says, without being asked, my grandmother grew these. That is not just sentiment. That is a buying trigger. Nostalgia is one of the most powerful forces in retail, and Gladiolus carries it with every single stem. People do not just want them, they feel something when they see them. And that feeling converts to sales faster than almost anything else on this list. The numbers behind Gladiolus are almost hard to believe. 500 corms, the bulbs you plant in the ground, can cost as little as $75 wholesale. Those 500 corms can produce 500 to 1,000 stems, with some corms throwing 2 spikes instead of 1. At 3 stems for $5 at a market stall, that is a return that most vegetables could not touch in twice the garden space. Growing difficulty is low to moderate. The main threat is thrips, a tiny insect pest that scars the petals. Stay on top of pest monitoring, and you will have very few losses. Succession planting, putting corms in the ground every 2 weeks across 5 or 6 weeks, means you have harvestable stems across an extended window instead of one overwhelming flush. Gladiolus does not need a farmer's market to sell. Neighbors, co-workers, church events, local florists, these flowers move everywhere because everyone knows them and almost everyone has a memory tied to them. There are very few flowers on this list that make grown adults nostalgic. Gladiolus is one of them. Grow it. Number 6 is the closest thing on this list to a guaranteed sale because buyers see it and cannot imagine not having it. Flower 6, Liatris. Liatris is not a flower most home gardeners think of growing for sale. That is the opportunity. It blooms in spike cycles, long, vertical, fuzzy purple wands that open from the top down, which is the opposite of almost every other spike flower. That unusual bloom pattern makes it look different in a bouquet. Different is valuable. Buyers pay more for things that look like they came from somewhere special, not from a grocery store floral section. What makes Liatris a particularly smart choice for a home gardener is that it is a perennial. Plant it once and it comes back every year, expanding into a wider clump each season. Year 1, you get stems. Year 2, you get more stems from a bigger clump. Year 3, the clump has divided and you are harvesting from multiple plants for the cost of the original. Liatris blooms in late summer, which is exactly the window when many spring and early summer flowers are fading. It steps in and fills the gap, offering structural spikes for bouquets at the precise moment most other spike-forming plants are done. One grower tracked 7 consecutive weeks of harvest from a single Liatris planting, 7 weeks of usable stems from one perennial bed. Growing difficulty is very low. Liatris handles heat and drought. Once established, the foliage comes in dense enough to shade out weeds, reducing maintenance further. It also dries well, adding winter revenue to a plant that already earns across a long summer season. 1 planting, 7 weeks of stems, 0 replanting cost next year. Liatris is a quiet earner that almost nobody in your market is probably growing. We are halfway through the list, and we have not even gotten to the flowers that can genuinely compete with vegetable gardens on a $1 per square foot basis. If this is the kind of content that makes you think differently about what you grow, subscribe. Golden Vault Garden covers practical ways to get more out of a home garden, and we put out new videos every week. Number 5. This one has a secret that most gardeners do not know, and it completely changes how profitable it can be. Flower 5, Snapdragon. Snapdragons have a trick that almost no other flower has. Pinch out the main stem when it is young, just one simple cut, and instead of getting 1 flower spike, the plant branches and produces up to 7 cuttable stems from a single plant. Read that again. 1 plant, 7 stems. At the same seed cost as a plant that produces 1 stem. 1,000 Snapdragon seeds cost $4 or $5. That same $5, if managed properly, can produce thousands of stems across a season because the plants keep cutting and coming again all season long. The math on Snapdragons is among the most favorable of anything in this video. The appeal to buyers is genuine. Snapdragon spikes are long, dramatic, incredibly diverse in color, from white and pale pink to deep burgundy, bicolor, and ruffled varieties. They hold exceptionally well in the vase, and they carry a fragrance that stops people mid-stride at the market. Snapdragons are plants since plants tolerate frost down to the low 20s, which means you can get them in the ground well before your last frost date. In mild climates, they can be planted in fall for spring harvest. In colder zones, they come out of the gate early in spring and produce hard all the way until summer heat sets in. Growing difficulty is low, germination is excellent. The main requirement is consistent moisture early, adequate fertilizer, and that critical pinch in youth that unlocks the plant's full potential. $5 of seed, thousands of stems. That is why Snapdragons are on every profitable flower list, and why they deserve to be in your garden. Number 4 might be the single most underestimated flower on this entire list. It looks humble. It sells like it is not. Flower 4, Lilies. There is a moment when a lily opens, when those petals finally unfurl and the fragrance hits the air that stops conversations. It is not a subtle flower. It is a statement flower, and people pay for statements. Lilies are among the highest per stem earners available to a home gardener. A single lily stem can retail for $3 to $5, sold by itself, without being part of a bouquet. Most flowers on this list need to be bundled to hit those numbers. Lilies command that price solo. The investment side is moderate. Lily bulbs cost more than zinnia or snapdragon seed. A mixed batch of 500 bulbs might run $200 to $400, depending on source and variety. But the per stem return is high enough that the math still works strongly in your favor. And certain varieties of lily come back every year, which reduces your bulb investment in subsequent seasons. For home growers, the key insight is to harvest before the blooms open fully. Stems cut at the swollen bud stage, when the buds are plump and colored but not yet open, last significantly longer and travel without damage. Open lilies are fragile. Budded stems are commercial grade. Demand from local florists for locally grown lilies is consistently high. A florist who can call a home grower for fresh lilies by color on short notice is a loyal and reliable buyer. That relationship is worth more than any single market day. One important note for anyone selling to households with cats. Lilies are toxic to cats. It is not a reason to avoid them, but always disclose when selling, and buyers will respect the transparency. $3 to $5 per single stem. That is what a lily earns. There are very few vegetables that can say the same. Number 3 is the plant that somehow manages to be both the most versatile earner and the most overlooked. It has been in backyards for decades. Most gardeners just never thought about selling it. Flower 3, zinnias. Zinnias might be the most reliable money flower in a home garden. Not because any individual stem is extraordinarily expensive, but because the math on volume, ease, and season length adds up in a way very few plants can compete with. Direct seed into warm soil, keep them watered, and zinnias go from seed to first bloom in about 60 days. Then they keep blooming and blooming and blooming all the way until frost kills them. Unlike flowers that exhaust themselves in a single flush, zinnias are cut and come again plants. Every stem you harvest triggers the plant to produce more. Stop cutting and the plant slows down. Keep cutting and it keeps going. The range of what you can grow is staggering. Dinner plate zinnias with blooms the size of your hand. Cactus-flowered varieties with twisted quill-like petals. Ball-shaped blooms in neon coral, pale pink doubles, deep burgundy, multicolor bicolors. Buyers who come back every week specifically seek out the newest colors and varieties, and that curiosity keeps them returning. Zinnias are also one of the fastest flowers to harvest. Cut them cleanly, strip the lower leaves, and you are done. No fussing, no special handling. Strong, sturdy stems that survive market transport without complaint. Vase life is excellent, 7 to 10 days with fresh water. The only limitation is the season. Zinnias need warm soil to start and cannot survive frost. In short season climates, starting them 4 to 6 weeks early indoors and transplanting after frost gives you several additional weeks of earning time. Easy to grow, endless to harvest. Every color buyers want. Zinnias are the most dependable flower on this list, and they belong in every profitable home garden. If you want more practical guides to growing and earning from a home garden, drop a comment below and tell me which flower surprised you most on this list. And while you are down there, subscribe. We cover this exact kind of content every single week. Number 2, this flower produces so many usable stems from a single packet of seeds that experienced growers say the hardest part is figuring out where to sell them all. Flower 2, sunflowers. Sunflowers should not work as well as they do. They are enormous. They take space. They are obvious. There is nothing subtle about a sunflower. And yet, at nearly every farm market, sunflowers are the first thing to sell out, not because they are rare. Because no matter how familiar they make people happy in a way that is genuinely hard to explain. A sunflower is one of the only flowers that reliably makes adults smile when they see it. From a numbers standpoint, sunflowers are among the best returning crops available to a home grower. $30 of seed can produce over $1,500 in sales. That is not a rough estimate. That is the real math from actual small-scale growers. 55 to 60 days from seed to sellable stem, one of the fastest timelines on this list. The variety selection available today has completely changed what sunflowers can do in a cut flower context. Pollen-free varieties mean no orange dust coating the table after a customer sets a bouquet down. Multi-branching varieties produce multiple stems from a single plant. And the double sunflowers, varieties with layered, roughly petals that look almost like dahlias, create the kind of reaction that makes buyers come back the following week to ask specifically for them. One important note, start sunflowers indoors rather than direct seeding into the garden. Birds, chipmunks, squirrels, and deer will find them. Starting indoors and transplanting seedlings that are a few inches tall sidesteps most of that wildlife pressure. Growing difficulty is low, harvest is fast, stems are strong. Customer demand is consistent from early summer through fall. Sunflowers are number 2 on this list, and in actual market experience, They might tie with number 1 for fastest sellout. And here we are. Number 1. The flower that maximizes profit per square foot more than anything else we have talked about. And the one that most home gardeners have never seriously considered growing for money. Flower 1, Dahlia, the undisputed number 1. Most people who grow dahlias grow them for their yard. They plant the tubers in spring, watch something extraordinary happen by midsummer, and never once think about selling what they are growing. That is the mistake, and it is an expensive one. A single dahlia tuber, one tuber costing $2 to $4, can produce 30 to 50 cuttable stems across a single season. At $3 to $8 per stem at market, that one tuber returns anywhere from $90 to $400 in sales. No vegetable in your garden is doing that from a single planting. The demand side is almost unfair. Florists actively pursue local dahlia growers because commercial dahlia supply is inconsistent, and the imported stems that arrive in bulk are nowhere near the quality of freshly cut, homegrown blooms. A florist who finds a reliable local dahlia source becomes a repeat buyer, often for the entire season, often paying above market rate to secure first access. At market, dahlias do not need to be explained or sold. Buyers see them in reach. The dinner plate varieties, blooms as wide as a human face, stop people walking past from 20 feet away. The Café au lait variety, a warm blush to cream tone that photographs beautifully, has developed its own cult following among buyers who plan their entire season around finding it. Growing difficulty is moderate. Dahlias need staking, consistent watering, and pinching early to maximize branching. They do not tolerate frost, so tubers go in after your last frost date and come out before the first fall freeze for storage. The work is real, but the return per square foot is higher than almost anything else on this list. No vegetable competes with this. No herb competes with this. Most flowers on this list do not compete with this. You have probably grown dahlias before. Maybe right now there are tubers sitting in your garage. The only question is why you are not selling them. 10 flowers, each one capable of earning more from a small backyard space than most people expect any flower to earn. Easiest to grow, Rudbeckia and Gomphrena. Plant them, largely leave them alone, and harvest for months. Fastest to sell, sunflowers and gladiolus. They move before the table is fully set up. Highest per stem earner, lilies, $3 to $5 for a single stem, no bouquet required. But here is the question that actually matters. If you could only plant one of these flowers next season, just one, which one would you choose? Drop it in the comments below. I read every one, and I am genuinely curious which direction home gardeners are going this season. If this video helped you see your garden differently, if you found even one flower here that you had not considered growing for money, subscribe to Golden Vault Garden. We put out practical, honest content for home gardeners every single week. Hit the like button, leave your flower choice in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. The vault does not stay open for nothing. Grow something worth growing.